let us start with this discussion of this respiration process in case of human beings. That means how we take in oxygen and how we give out carbon dioxide. Okay, in our last class we have discussed about the breakdown of glucose molecules in presence of oxygen, in absence of oxygen. Okay, now today let us understand this one. Okay, how we take in oxygen, how the oxygen is utilized by the body, how the oxygen is being transported by the blood, and how the carbon dioxide is being again transported by the blood so that we can exhale it outside. Okay, fine. Now I'm giving you a simple flow diagram so that you can understand it very simply. Okay, now here you see, whenever we are taking oxygen through our nose, right? Now there are very minute hairs. Okay, there are very minute hair like structures, okay, hairs in our nose, okay, which actually, okay, which acts as an obstacles for the dust particles to stop there, and so that it cannot enter our lungs, okay, or it cannot enter our body. So that is why the lining of the hairs in our nose is very important. And again, there is a lining of mucus in our nose, okay, lining of mucus in our nose, which helps in the entry of carbon dioxide, okay, sorry, entry of oxygen and giving out of carbon dioxide. Now after this oxygen goes into the nose, when we are taking oxygen through our nose, then what it happens, it travels down the trachea. And in the trachea, okay, there are rings of cartilage. Okay, in trachea there are rings of cartilage, so that this pipe or this pipe-like structure or this tube-like structure through which the oxygen is passing, okay, so that it do not collapse for any of the reasons. So that's why it is guarded by these rings of cartilage. Now this trachea gets divided into two bronchi. Okay, so it gets divided into two bronchi. So it gets divided into two bronchi, and these bronchi finally gets divided into bronchioles. Okay, gets divided into smaller tube-like structures. Okay, these bronchi, tube-like structures, that is bronchioles. Okay, so these are the main like how we need to understand that oxygen goes through the nose, then in the then it enters the trachea. The trachea gets divided into, okay, now if we think that this is a trachea and it gets divided into, okay, two bronchi, and this bronchi through which the oxygen is passing to our lungs, okay, this gets divided into further more divisions, that is bronchioles. Okay, this gets divided into further more divisions into pipe-like structures, that is called bronchioles. Now these bronchioles, okay, on this end of the bronchioles there are balloon-like structures or sac-like structures that are called alveoli sac. Okay, these bronchioles are again, okay, the end of the bronchioles are, okay, designed, or the formation is like that there are balloon-like structures which help in the, okay, transportation of oxygen with the blood. Okay, that means it helps the helps in the process that how the oxygen will be mixing with the blood. So this bronchioles is further differentiated into alveoli, which is also called, okay, these are also called alveoli, or you can call it as alveolar sac. Alveolar sac. Okay, that means these are sac-like structures or balloon-like structures which helps in this process. Fine. Now what happens, the main thing, the main exchange of gases or exchange of this oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place in this alveoli. Okay, now let us understand what happens actually from this alveoli. When the oxygen reaches these alveolis, okay, these alveolis are connected to blood vessels. That means these alveolis are rich in blood vessels where oxygen gets connected, okay, with the blood. Now from these alveolis, as I said, that it is rich in blood vessels. Okay, blood vessels where this oxygens, okay, oxygen get connected with the blood. Right now, after these oxygen molecules or, okay, get inside the blood, these bloods gets transported to the various part of the body. Okay, from the blood vessels it is getting into the blood, the oxygenated blood. Okay, do remember this is oxygenated blood. Okay, this blood goes to the various body parts, that means body or cells of the body, where the oxygen is needed for the breakdown of glucose to get carbon dioxide, water, energy. Okay, fine. Now from this body, again in the cells, when the carbon dioxide is again taken back by the blood and it is transported to the lungs. From the lungs it goes out of our body through this exhalation process. That means during inhalation we are taking oxygen and during exhalation we are respiring out the oxygen. That means in the form of carbon dioxide. Not exactly, we are not like exhaling out oxygen, we are actually producing the carbon dioxide inside the cell. Now the main part is this one, that how this oxygen is being mixed, okay, with the blood vessels, okay, or with the blood in the alveolar sac. So now what happens, this oxygen is mainly mixed with this blood by the process of diffusion. Okay, I guess you know it, diffusion process, that means movement of substances from higher concentration to the lower concentration. Now this diffusion process is actually not enough for large multicellular organisms like human beings or animals. Now in that case, okay, this oxygen is carried by a pigment that we called hemoglobin, okay, because hemoglobin have high affinity for oxygen. Okay, now this hemoglobin carries oxygen from the alveolar sacs, okay, alveolar sac, and now this hemoglobin is there in the blood, and that is why this hemoglobin, when it carries oxygen to the cells, these are called oxyhemoglobin. That means hemoglobin that is having oxygen molecule, and it is called oxyhemoglobin, which carries this oxygen to the cells, and there the cell is utilizing the oxygen and it is again producing carbon dioxide and bringing back that carbon dioxide through the blood, and we are exhaling outside. That is why it is said that why hemoglobin is very important, because hemoglobin carries the oxygen from the alveolar sac. So this is what that about this respiration process. If you go through the book, then you can understand in a very detailed way. I have discussed it, what is the process and how it goes on. Okay, so hope you like this video and do subscribe my channel. Thank you.